All right. So here's a nice one. Sum. What if we wanted to get the sum of the values within a group depending on the framing? So we wanted to sum something, but we want to do it depending on, the partition and the framing. Well, what if I want to see how much cumulatively a customer has ordered at our store? That's an interesting question right there, right? How much cumulatively a customer has ordered at our store. So over time, how much the total becomes. And let's look at the type of query that we need to use. So we're doing a select, and we're selecting the order ID, the customer ID, the net amount from orders. And what we're doing is we're doing a sum. So we're taking the window data that we got, and we're going to partition it by customer ID. So we're creating a partition by the customer, and then we're going to order it by the order ID. And by doing that, by creating that partition by customer ID and just ordering it by the order ID, we can now cumulatively sum the amount that they spent. So it's going to go by order ID. So it's going to go look at the previous and then take the current and sum those all together. So let's look at what that looks like. So over here, I have that exact same query that we just saw where we're doing a partition and an order, and we're doing all of that stuff. So let's execute that. And what we're going to see here is we're going to see cumulative sum. So customer 1 never ordered at our store. Customer 3 only ordered for $39. But which customer ordered multiple times? Well, over here we can see customer 13 did. So the first time they ordered $227. And then the next time they ordered $83. And the sum of these two numbers is 310.76. And so with this, we can know, hey, if I were to do a where clause for a specific client, we could see how much they ordered over time and what the total amount is that they ordered, the total net amount. And that becomes extremely useful. And that has to do with how the order by works, because if we remove this, we're just going to create the total sum of that net amount. We're just partitioning by customer number. So we're not doing anything special here. If we were to do it by order ID, if we partition by order ID, then we're going to see that, hey, it's individual based on the order ID. So the combination that we're trying to get at here is that the way that you combine partition and order can create interesting results, because we're partitioning by the customer number and we're saying, hey, this is the group. And then we're saying order it by the order ID, so the individual order ID. Then we know that when we sum this, we're going to take into account the previous and the current. The previous and the current. Always remember that, because that leads to interesting results. When we remove this, we're not getting anything interesting at all. We're just getting the sum of that customer ID's order. That isn't interesting at all. Like, that's just the individual order right there. What's so interesting about me knowing that specifically? And order IDs are unique as well. So what exactly is going on here? And if we look at 13, we can see, well, that's where it becomes interesting. We're just seeing the total sum of money that they ever spent. We're not seeing the cumulative sum. We're not seeing it go up. We're just seeing the total, right? So that's where order by can change how things work. And knowing all of that, let's look at how this operated internally. So if we go over here, what we can see is that we have our orders table, and we have order ID, customer ID, and net amount. And to do our cumulative sum, what we're doing is we're grabbing the window that we just had, and we're grouping it by the orders. So we grab the customer IDs, and we said, if it matches, create a partition of that customer ID. Group those together. And then, hey, go and sort them by order ID, basically by the number of the order ID. And so what we're doing is now, because of the way that order by works, and because we didn't change the framing at all. So it's going to take into account current and previous. And because order 1 has no previous, it is just the net amount of 1. And then if we look at order 2, well, it's going to do take the previous, take the current, and sum those together. And so that's how we create our cumulative sum. Super interesting, super niche. Like, when we're doing analysis against data, that's when we want to do things like this. But that being said, it's very, very important to know how partition by works, how order by works, and how introducing order by can change the entire result of what you're trying to accomplish. And so knowing these rules, knowing that when you introduce order by, you may have to play around with the framing. When you don't introduce order by, the entire partition is being taken into account. Knowing those specific nuances can help you build window functions that make sense, because the syntax can be a bit unintuitive. And so with that, let's look at the final window function I wanted to look at, which is, hey, let's try to organize it by row numbers. That's a fun little easy one. So we'll see that in the next video.